People don't realize your worth until your absence teaches them what your presence never could. My friends, let that hit you for a second, because right now, someone in your life is walking around like you're always going to be there. They're treating you like the air they breathe, using it freely without ever stopping to think that one day you might take that air away. And when that day comes, oh, it's going to feel like a punch in the gut they never saw coming. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a golden ticket, not just any ticket, but one that gives access to the best seat in the house. The kind of seat people would line up for, pay thousands for, just to get a glimpse. And yet, someone you let in for free has been leaving their seat empty, showing up late, or spilling soda on the velvet cushions. They've gotten so used to the privilege, they've forgotten the price. And here's the kicker, you trained them to think it would always be free. You see, the problem isn't always them. Sometimes, my friends, it's us. We hand over our time, our loyalty, our love like free samples at a grocery store. We smile, we give, we keep showing up, thinking one day they'll stop at the counter and say, "This is worth buying." But folks, free samples don't create demand, they create freeloaders. And then we wonder why they don't respect the value of what we bring. We've been sold a lie, the lie that love means sacrifice, that if we just try harder, give more, prove ourselves enough, they'll wake up one day and finally say, "Wow, I can't lose this person." But here's the truth, people don't value what they think will always be there. They value what they believe they can lose. And if you've been running yourself ragged trying to make them see your worth, congratulations, you've been playing the wrong game. Think about it like this. Have you ever had that one coffee shop that always gets your order wrong, takes forever, and yet you keep going back because it's convenient? What reason do they have to improve? None. Because you've taught them you'll keep showing up regardless. That's how some people treat you. And my friends, you are not a bad latte someone can just shrug off. You are the best thing on the menu, and it's time they start paying the right price. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but they love me. Maybe they'll change. Maybe if I just wait a little longer. No, my friends, if they haven't seen your worth by now, they're not suddenly going to wake up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. And I say this with love. You've been holding on to a version of them that only exists in your head. The real version, the one in front of you, is comfortable, too comfortable, and nothing changes in comfort. The good news, you hold the power to change the game, and it's not by giving more, talking more, explaining more. It's by stepping back, closing the tap, and letting them feel the drought. Because trust me, the day your warmth disappears, they'll start to notice how cold the world feels without it. So before we go any further, I want you to do something for me. Drop this in the comments right now. I am no longer free. Say it, own it, live it. Because from this moment forward, you're not handing out your worth like candy at Halloween. And while you're at it, hit that like button, press subscribe, and stay with me. Because today, my friends, we're about to teach them the cost of taking you for granted. Number 1, they took you for granted because you let them think you were free. You are not expensive, they're just broke in effort, bankrupt in respect, and poor in emotional maturity. Let that marinate in your chest for a second, because right now you're not being undervalued because you aren't valuable. You're being taken for granted because you've been giving your soul away at clearance prices to people who don't even know how to spend emotional currency. They saw luxury, but you gave it away like a dollar store trinket. And now they walk around thinking they got you on discount forever. Imagine this. You walk into a high-end boutique, the kind with crystal lighting, soft jazz playing in the background, and items so exclusive there's no price tag. You walk over to a suit, sleek, handmade, timeless. You ask how much, and the clerk says, "Oh, this one? Just take it, no charge." At first, you might smile, feel lucky. But you know what happens next? You start treating that suit like it's disposable. You toss it on the floor, forget to hang it, leave coffee stains on the sleeve, because it didn't cost you anything. That's what you've let them do to you. You let them walk in, browse your soul, and take it off the shelf without earning it. And then we sit around wondering, why don't they respect me? Why do they ghost me, breadcrumb me, come and go as they please? Why do they only hit me up when they need something? Let me tell you why. It's not because they're blind. It's because you've been available. Too available. Too giving. Too consistent. And folks, when something's always available, it becomes invisible. You were the full-course meal, but they treated you like the free bread basket. Now I hear you, but I'm just being kind. That's who I am. My friends, kindness without boundaries isn't noble. It's dangerous. It's self-betrayal wearing a smile. You didn't show them love. They never earned it. What you showed them was that they never had to do the work to keep someone like you. You trained them that love doesn't come with responsibility. You handed them gold, and they started using it to prop open doors. And here's the real mind trip. They didn't even ask for all of that up front, but you gave it anyway, hoping they'd one day say, "Wow, I see your worth now." And every time they didn't, you gave more, gave deeper, gave louder, thinking, if I just love harder, they'll finally get it. But folks, they won't. Because the second they saw you giving without earning, they stopped assigning value to what you were giving. You see, people don't cherish what's free. They cherish what's fought for. We don't frame printouts. We frame paintings we saved up for. We don't cry over losing what we never worked for. We cry when we lose what cost us everything. And you made them think love, loyalty, time, and emotional presence cost nothing. You gave everything too early, and now they think they can get a refill without lifting a damn finger. Let's flip the script now. Let's talk about the fear, because I know you feel it. The fear of pulling back, the fear of being too cold, of losing them, of making them think you don't care. That voice in your head that whispers, "But what if they leave if I stop showing up?" My friends, if someone only stays because you're overextending, that's not love. That's emotional blackmail. That's you trying to outrun abandonment by sprinting into sacrifice. And every time you ignore your intuition, you bleed a little more. You've got to understand, not everyone deserves access to you. Just because they want you doesn't mean they deserve you. Just because they come back doesn't mean they've changed. Just because they say, "I miss you," doesn't mean they're ready to treat you right. Some people just miss their emotional supply. They miss your energy, not your soul. And if you let them walk in like they never left, you're telling them the door was never locked to begin with. So what's the move now? It's time to raise the price. It's time to stop giving your highest self to people who wouldn't cross the street for you. It's time to stop handing out your presents like party favors. From now on, your love is earned. Your time is earned. Your loyalty is earned. And if they don't meet the standard, they don't get access, period. This isn't about being heartless. This is about being priceless. Because here's the raw truth. When people think you'll always be there, they stop showing up for you. But when you go quiet, when you stop explaining, when you stop handing them passes, they start wondering. And when wondering turns to regret, that's when they start feeling what you were carrying all along. So stop walking into rooms trying to prove your worth. You are the room. You are the energy. You are the thing they should be chasing. And if they don't see that now, they'll feel it when you leave. Because when a real one goes quiet, the world gets loud with regret. Right now, I want you to remind yourself who you are, not for them, for you. I want you to drop this in the comments right now. I am not a discount. Write it. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that your value has terms, has boundaries, has a cost, because what's coming next, it's going to make them realize that the access they once had is now permanently revoked. Stay with me because we're just getting started. Number 2, they took advantage because you trained them to. People will only treat you the way you allow them to. Read that again, because whether you want to admit it or not, the way they treat you right now, the way they come and go, the way they disappear without warning and reappear when it's convenient, the way they drain your energy and give back crumbs, it didn't start with them. It started with you. You taught them what was okay. You trained them. You conditioned them. And they followed the script you handed them. I know that's hard to swallow. I know it stings. But let's stop pretending it wasn't you who answered every time they called. It wasn't you who forgave the same mistake a dozen times. It wasn't you who kept showing up with full energy while they barely texted back. You didn't just let it slide. You rolled out the red carpet and gave them the VIP pass to your soul without asking for a damn thing in return. And now you're sitting there wondering why they think they can treat you however they want. Folks, it's because they can. You gave them the playbook, and now you're shocked they're winning the game. Imagine you're a teacher in a classroom. You walk in, the students are wild, talking over you, tossing paper airplanes, and instead of demanding respect, you smile, keep teaching, pretend it's fine. The next day, they're louder, bolder. They push the boundaries even more. Why? Because they know they can. Because you set the tone on day one, and that's exactly what you did with them. You gave them the silent approval to misbehave. You taught them there were no consequences, that no matter how poorly they showed up, you'd be there. Same smile, same love, same open arms. Now some of you might be saying, but I was just being patient. I was giving them grace. My friends, grace is given to those who make mistakes, not those who make patterns. There's a difference. Patience is beautiful, but not when it becomes self-abandonment. And that's what this was. You abandoned yourself, your standards, your intuition, just to keep someone comfortable who was never trying to grow. Let's break this lie wide open. If I love them enough, they'll change. No, if someone only respects you when you threaten to leave, they never respected you to begin with. And if someone only treats you right after you explode, that's not growth, that's manipulation. They're not changing, they're reacting to the fear of losing their supply. You're not a partner to them, you're a comfort zone. You're the warm bed they crawl back to when the world gets cold. But they don't think twice about what it costs you to keep the lights on and the fire going. And you've been so afraid of being alone that you made being mistreated feel normal. You've made so many excuses for their behavior that you've started believing them yourself. They're just going through something. Maybe I'm asking for too much. They're not used to love like mine. Stop. You're not hard to love. They're just not capable of loving at the level you're offering. And the longer you keep blaming yourself for their lack of effort, the longer you stay stuck in a loop of emotional starvation. You trained them, yes, but that doesn't mean you can't retrain them, or better yet, remove them. Because the moment you stop rewarding inconsistency with your consistency, the dynamic shifts. The moment you stop being the one who always reaches out, always forgives, always shows up, they start noticing the silence. And trust me, silence will teach them what your words never could. Because the truth is, they heard you the first 10 times. They just didn't care. They only start caring when the access is denied, when the supply is cut, when the emotional ATM runs out. Let me say it clear, you are not an emotional vending machine. You don't just dispense love and comfort every time someone presses a few buttons. And if they've gotten used to that, it's time to unplug the damn machine. Not out of anger, not to punish them, but to protect your peace. Because here's the real danger of being taken for granted. It doesn't just affect how they treat you. It starts to warp how you see yourself. You start shrinking, dimming, questioning. You start accepting less and calling it love with flaws. You start confusing inconsistency with mystery, toxicity with passion, neglect with space. And before you know it, you don't even recognize your own reflection. But not anymore, because now you see it. You see the pattern. You see how you've played a role in this. And no, that doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware. And awareness is where the power starts. From this point forward, you don't train people through your words. You train them through your boundaries, through your absence, through your glow-up, through your silence. You show them that access to you is a privilege, not a given. That your love is sacred, not disposable. That your time is limited and it's no longer available to those who waste it. Let them feel the weight of what they lost. Let them sit with the silence they created. Let them question if they ever really knew you. And while they're busy trying to figure out how to get you back, you're going to be too busy building the version of yourself that never has to explain their worth again. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. I trained them, now I'm retraining myself. That's it. Say it. Own it. Show the world around you that from this point forward, no one gets to walk through doors they once slammed shut. You are the storm and the calm. You are the lesson and the consequence. And what's coming next? It's going to make sure they never forget what it cost them to take you for granted. Stay with me, because the real shift has only just begun. Number 3, they forgot your worth because you became too familiar. Familiarity without respect becomes entitlement. And that, my friends, is exactly what happened here. They didn't stop valuing you because you changed. They stopped valuing you because they got used to having you. They got comfortable, too comfortable. You became a constant in their life, always available, always replying, always picking up the emotional slack. And when something is always there, people stop checking whether it should be. They stop appreciating it. They stop earning it. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you walk into a room and there's a candle burning, warm, soft light, sweet scent. It's peaceful. Day after day, that candle is lit. No one says thank you to the candle. No one asks who lit it. No one even notices it after a while. It just burns, quietly, steadily, until one day the candle goes out. Now the room feels colder, dimmer, emptier, and suddenly everyone notices. Suddenly everyone misses the light. But by then the wax is gone. The flame is dead. That's you. They didn't appreciate you because your presence became predictable. You were always there, always checking in, always forgiving, always giving, and people, especially the wrong ones, confuse consistency for weakness. They start to believe they're entitled to your time, your kindness, your support. Not because they earned it, but because you gave it too freely. And before you know it, the very things that made you valuable start being seen as ordinary. And here's where the real trap lies. You thought loyalty meant access. You thought that if you stayed long enough, showed up enough, poured enough, they would wake up one day and finally see your worth. But the more you gave, the more invisible you became, because there was no mystery, no scarcity, no boundary, And people don't value what they can't lose. They value what they're afraid to lose. That's why they only call when you pull away. That's why they text you when you stop posting. That's why they miss you the moment you stop being emotionally available. It's not love. It's not some sudden realization. It's panic. Panic that the comfort you provided is no longer guaranteed. Panic that they may have to actually do the work now. Panic that someone else might get what they took for granted. Let's break down a lie you've been living with. They just don't know how to show love. No, they know. They show love where they want to, where they respect, where they fear loss. And if they didn't show it to you, it's not because they don't know how. It's because they didn't think they had to. You made it too easy, too safe, too familiar. You turned your love into background noise and then wondered why they stopped listening. Now, let's get real for a second. Pulling back feels terrifying at first. It feels like abandonment, like you're betraying your own heart, like you're giving up, because deep down you've convinced yourself that love means persistence. That if you just hold on long enough, they'll come around. But my friends, love without boundaries isn't love. It's desperation wrapped in sacrifice. And you were never meant to be someone's emotional crutch while they limp through life without ever learning to stand on their own. You need to understand that being consistent doesn't mean being a doormat. Being kind doesn't mean being naive. Being loving doesn't mean being available 24/7. In fact, the most loving thing you can do sometimes is step away. To let them feel the absence they never expected. To let them sit in the silence they created. To let them ask the questions they never thought they'd have to. Because the truth is, people don't remember what you gave. They remember how it felt when it was gone. They don't reflect on all your loyalty while you're still handing it out. They reflect when it's no longer there, when your name stops showing up, when your energy disappears, when your warmth turns to distance. That's when it hits. And trust me, it hits hard. You're not weak for pulling back. You're not cruel for going silent. You're not heartless for protecting your peace. You're smart. You're aware. You're done playing the part of the ever-present, ever-giving, ever-forgiving character in someone else's storyline. You're stepping out of their script and writing your own. So, what now? You become scarce, not as a game, not to manipulate, but to reclaim your worth. You don't text first. You don't explain your silence. You don't chase. You let your absence speak volumes, because people learn through consequences, not conversations. You've said enough. Now you act. Let them wonder. Let them ask. Let them spiral. That's not your burden anymore. You gave them presence, and they gave you pressure. You gave them consistency, and they gave you convenience. You gave them love, and they gave you leftovers. And now you give them distance, not out of anger, out of clarity. You are not just a warm body they can call when it's cold. You are not the safety net they never earned. You are not the background character in their self-absorbed drama. You are the prize. You are the lesson. You are the standard. And if they forgot that, it's because you taught them they didn't need to remember. But today the lesson changes. Today, the access is revoked. Today, your energy becomes invitation only. So here's what I want you to do. Drop this in the comments right now. I will no longer be familiar to those who forgot my value. Say it. Own it. Show the world that you're done being the candle that burns while everyone enjoys the light, but never cares about the flame. Because what's coming next? It's going to teach them something they'll never forget, how it feels to lose someone they thought would always be there. Stay with me. You haven't even seen the next storm coming. Number 4, they never felt the loss because you never went silent. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means you're finally ready to speak with your absence. My friends, this is where the game changes, because right now, some of you are still out here explaining, defending, hoping, still thinking that if you just say the right words, if you send that one perfect message, if you pour your heart out one more time, they'll finally get it, that they'll finally see what they've been doing, that they'll feel your pain, understand your worth, and come crawling back with remorse. But they won't. Not because they can't, but because they've never had to. You've been giving them closure before they even ask, giving them explanations after they disrespect you, giving them forgiveness before they apologize. And guess what? That's why they don't fear losing you. That's why they don't feel the need to fix anything. Because your voice is always there to soften the blow, to make sense of the chaos, to patch the holes they poked in the foundation. You've been their emotional translator, their comfort zone, their lighthouse, and they've never had to feel the dark, not once. But silence. Silence changes everything. Imagine a radio playing non-stop. Same music, same volume, same background noise. After a while, you stop noticing it. It's just there. You don't listen anymore. You don't appreciate the melody. You don't care for the lyrics. But what happens the moment that radio cuts off? That silence. It's loud, uncomfortable, confusing. You look up, you check the wires, you wonder what happened, and suddenly you miss the music. Not because it was your favorite song, but because it was always there, and now it's not. That's exactly what your silence does to people who took you for granted. See, they expected a reaction. They expected the usual, the long texts, the late-night heart-to-hearts, the voice note full of explanations. They were waiting for the drama, for the meltdown, for the last attempt to hold them close. But when none of that came, when you didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't beg, they panicked. Because silence is powerful. Silence is unpredictable. Silence forces people to sit with what they've done without the cushion of your comfort. Silence holds up a mirror, and no one escapes its reflection. And I know some of you are afraid of going quiet. You think silence means defeat, that if you stop reaching out, they'll forget you, that if you stay silent, they'll move on, that they'll replace you. But here's the truth. If silence makes them forget you, they were never yours to begin with. If your absence doesn't shake them, then your presence never meant anything to them. And if you staying quiet makes them comfortable, it means they only ever liked you when you were convenient. That's not love, that's control. And you're not here to be someone's emotional puppet. Let's break a lie real quick. The lie that says, if I don't say how I feel, they'll never know. My friends, they do know. They've always known. They just didn't care enough to change. They didn't think they needed to. You've been spelling it out for them like a child's bedtime story, and still they kept doing the same thing. Why? Because there were no consequences. You kept explaining instead of exiting. You kept hoping instead of healing. You kept talking instead of teaching. But now you're done talking. You're done making noise for someone who wears emotional earplugs. You're done watering a connection that only blooms when it needs something from you. You're done making your presence easy to access and your emotions easy to read. Because silence is no longer a punishment. It's your boundary. It's your reset. It's the sound of your self-worth. You want to know what silence does? It confuses them. It disrupts the pattern. They can't read you anymore. They can't rely on the same cycle. The script is broken. The dance ends. And now they're left spinning. That, hey, how have you been text? It's not concern. It's curiosity. That I miss you message out of nowhere. That's not love. That's panic. Because silence makes people wonder if they've really lost you, wonder who you're with, wonder if you've finally moved on, wonder if you stopped caring. And the scary part for them, they don't know, People don't chase what's predictable. They chase mystery. They chase the unknown. And the second you stop being emotionally available, the second you become unreadable, untouchable, and unbothered, that's when they start chasing. But you don't go silent to make them chase. You go silent to protect your peace. Silence is the sound of healing. It's the space where you rebuild, where you remember who you were before they made you doubt it, where you stop giving CPR to dead relationships. And yeah, it's going to be hard. You're going to want to break. You'll feel the itch to explain yourself, to reach out, to say one last thing. But don't. Not this time, because this time your silence is the final chapter. This time, your silence is the closure. This time, you're not asking to be seen. You're walking away because you've seen enough. And let me tell you something. When they realize you're no longer talking, no longer fighting, no longer checking in, they're going to feel it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day they'll sit in a room and the quiet will be deafening. One day they'll hear a song and your name will echo between the lyrics. One day, they'll scroll past your picture and realize they no longer have access to the soul behind it. And on that day, silence will scream louder than anything you ever could have said. So here's what I want you to do. Write this in the comments right now. My silence is my power. Say it out loud. Own it. Let the world know that you're done wasting words on people who refuse to listen. From now on, your absence is the lesson, your quiet is the consequence, and your peace, non-negotiable. Stay with me, because the silence they're about to feel is only the beginning. Number 5, they only missed you when you were gone, not when you were giving. They don't miss you when you're available. They miss you when your silence forces them to remember your value. And folks, let's not sugarcoat this. Some of them didn't lose you by accident. They lost you by choice. They lost you when they decided your presence didn't require effort. They lost you when they thought you'd always be around, no matter how little they gave. And now that you've gone silent, now that you've stepped away, suddenly they miss you. But let's ask the hard question. Do they miss you, or do they miss the benefits of having you? Because if we're being real, they didn't miss you when you were texting every morning. They didn't miss you when you were checking in, when you were holding space for their moods, when you were pouring love and energy into someone who barely offered eye contact. They didn't feel your absence when you were still present. Why? Because they thought you were always going to be there, that no matter how they behaved, no matter how many times they disappeared, no matter how many times they gave you the bare minimum, you'd still be right there, loving them with your whole chest. You were their emotional safety net, their consistent backup plan, their late-night reassurance. And let me tell you something, they loved the version of you that expected nothing, that forgave everything, that stayed silent when they were being selfish. They didn't appreciate you, they just got used to you. You ever had a chair in your house that you sit in every day? You don't think about it, you don't thank it, you don't admire it, you just expect it to hold you, day in, day out, until one day that chair is gone, and suddenly your whole routine is off. Suddenly you're uncomfortable. You didn't love the chair, but now that it's missing, you feel the absence. That's how they see you. They didn't love you when you were there. They loved the comfort of having you around. But you weren't born to be furniture. You're not some background item people forget until it's gone. You're the flame, the heat, the energy that made things feel alive. And the moment you removed it, they felt the cold. That cold wasn't love. It was the loss of control, the loss of convenience. The realization that they no longer had access to the emotional luxury they never earned. And let's really talk about that glow-up, because the truth is, they regret it more when you thrive without them. It's not your sadness they notice, it's your silence and your success. They don't miss you when you're posting sad quotes, begging for closure, or spiraling in stories. No, they start to miss you when you've stopped explaining, when your energy isn't for them anymore, when your name is no longer in their inbox, but on other people's lips, when your peace becomes more attractive than your pain. They miss you when they realize they can't reach you anymore, not emotionally, not physically, not spiritually. That's when the "I miss you" message shows up. That's when the old photos get liked. That's when they start checking in. But let's not be fooled. That's not a spiritual awakening. That's not growth. That's fear. Fear that you finally found out who you were without them. Let's pause for a second. Some of you might be wondering, but what if they actually changed? What if they mean it this time? What if they really do regret what they did? Well, ask yourself this. If they truly changed, why did it take your silence to activate it? Why didn't they change when you were begging, when you were hurting, when you were doing the most? Because people don't change when they're comfortable. They change when they feel the consequences of their comfort. You were not the problem. The problem was how easy you made it for them to be lazy with your heart. You gave them love like a lighthouse, steady, bright, unmoving, while they danced in the dark and only came running back when the storm hit. And the mistake they made, thinking that lighthouse would always be on, thinking that no matter what they did, you'd be there, guiding, waiting, hoping. But that version of you, they turned off that light. And now the storm they feel, that's what happens when they lose access to someone they thought they'd never have to earn. And let me be clear, your glow-up, your peace, your transformation, that's not a performance for them. That's a commitment to you. You're not thriving to get revenge. You're thriving to get free. Because here's the truth that burns the loudest. The best version of you was never meant to be a supporting role in their mess. It was meant to be the main character in your own life. And now that they see you shining without their validation, they're confused. They don't recognize you anymore. Good. That means they're finally seeing the person they could have grown with, but chose to grow away from. You want to know how you win. You don't text back. You don't entertain the breadcrumb. You don't revisit pain just because it's familiar. You move forward so boldly, so loudly in your silence, that even your shadow refuses to look back. So what do you do with that "I miss you" text? You let it sit there, unread, unanswered, unbothered, because the you they once knew, the you who overgave, who overexplained, who overextended, is gone. That version of you was buried in the silence. And what rose in its place? Someone powerful, someone grounded, someone who doesn't need to be chased to feel wanted or chosen to feel worthy. So right now, I want you to write this in the comments. They miss the access, not the connection. Say it, own it, show the world, and more importantly, show yourself that you are no longer a revolving door for people who once walked out without looking back. And while they're sitting in their regret, scrolling through memories they never valued in real time, you're going to keep moving, keep glowing, keep becoming. Because what's coming next? Oh, my friends, it's going to remind them that once you're gone for good. Stay with me. We're only getting deeper. Number 6, they can't predict you anymore, and that's what scares them. They weren't afraid of losing you. They were afraid of losing control over you. My friends, this is where the game flips, because let's be honest, they didn't fear your absence when they thought they had you figured out. When they knew exactly how you'd react. When every silent treatment turned into a long message. When every ghosting act ended with you knocking on their door, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They played the same moves on repeat because they believed they had your heart on a string. And you You kept dancing to their rhythm, hoping one day they'd change the tune. But now you've gone quiet, not just with your mouth, but with your energy. You've stopped explaining, stopped reaching, stopped reacting, and that silence, that shift, that sudden disappearance of emotional availability, it's messing with their head, because now they don't know what to expect, and people don't fear what they can read, they fear what they can't predict. You used to be the most predictable part of their life, like clockwork, the text responder, the forgiveness committee, the peacemaker, the late-night listener, the soft landing after their chaos. They knew your limits and they stretched them. They knew your heart and they used it like a doormat with a welcome sign. They were comfortable because you were predictable, but unpredictability, that's a storm they never prepared for. Imagine a TV show you've watched for years, same storyline, same characters, same ending. You think you've got it figured out. Then suddenly, plot twist. The one who always begged walks away. The one who cried now glows. The one who used to chase is now unavailable. You're shocked, confused, intrigued. You keep watching, hoping for the old version to return, but they don't. And that's exactly what you've become, a walking plot twist, a character in their life who flipped the script and never looked back. You stopped texting first. You stopped picking up when they called after disappearing for days. You stopped over-explaining your feelings like a self-help manual they never read. And the silence, the distance, the shift in energy, it hit them harder than any argument ever could. Because now they're not dealing with the old you. They're dealing with a version of you they can't access, can't read, can't control. And that uncertainty is eating them alive. You see, what they miss isn't just your presence. It's the power they had when you were predictable. It's the comfort of knowing that no matter how far they pushed, you'd still be standing there with open arms. It's the ego stroke they got every time you proved your loyalty. But now, you're silent, you're focused, you're unavailable, and they don't know how to handle that. They don't know if you've moved on. They don't know if you still care. They don't know if someone else now has what they took for granted. And let's get something clear. They're not used to that version of you. They're used to the version who broke her own heart just to keep the peace. The version who said, "I'm fine," while dying inside. The version who accepted crumbs and called it a feast. But that version, they gone, buried, replaced. Now you're a mystery. Now you're not the predictable peacekeeper. They don't even know if they're invited to your peace anymore. So what do they do now? They test the waters. A like on your post, a "Hey stranger" text, a breadcrumb to see if you'll bite. But don't you dare. Don't respond to weakness with warmth. Don't trade your power for temporary validation. They're not reaching out because they suddenly understand your worth. They're reaching out because they lost control and they want it back. Because let's tell the truth, they had every chance to appreciate you when you were fully there. They had every chance to give back what you gave, to match your effort, to meet your heart, and they chose not to. So now, they don't get to meet the new you without working for it. They don't get to walk into your healed space wearing the same dirty shoes they wore in the past. They don't get access to the glow-up unless they paid the price in growth. And most won't. And you might feel guilty. You might wonder if you're being too harsh, too distant, too cold. But let me ask you, were you ever too loved, too seen, too respected? No? Then you're not being too anything now. You're being wise. You're being reserved. You're being a version of yourself that no longer performs for validation. You want to know the real reason they're watching your stories again, why they're suddenly interested, because they don't know what's going on in your world. And the second they lost access to your emotions, your thoughts, your reactions, they realized just how much power you held. They thought you were the safe space. Now they're lost in the storm. And the truth is, you never had to shout to be heard. You just had to leave. And that unpredictability, that's your new armor. That's what keeps your value high. You're no longer the open book they skimmed through. You're the locked vault they can't crack. You're not playing hard to get. You are hard to get. Not because you're arrogant, because you've learned, you've grown, you've set the bar higher, and anyone who wants a seat at your table has to level up or leave the room. So right now, I want you to write this in the comments. I am the plot twist. Say it, own it. Show the world that you've rewritten the script, and anyone who knew the old, you no longer has the manual. Because what's coming next? Oh, it's not just growth, it's elevation, and the people who thought they had you all figured out, they're about to learn the hard way that they never knew you at all. Stay with me, because unpredictability is just the beginning of your new power. Number 7, they lost you because they thought you'd wait forever, but you didn't. They didn't lose you when they walked away. They lost you the moment they believed you'd stay, no matter how they treated you. That's the truth, my friends. They didn't see the clock ticking. They didn't hear the silence building. They didn't notice the change in your energy, the withdrawal of your warmth, the dimming of your light. Why? Because they thought time was on their side. They thought you were stuck in hope, stuck in love, stuck in fear. They thought no matter how long they disappeared, no matter how many mixed signals they threw at you, you'd still be there, waiting like you always had. But you weren't waiting. You were waking up. See, people don't rush to keep what they think they'll never lose. They don't value what's guaranteed. They don't fix what they believe is unbreakable. And you made them feel too safe. Not the good kind of safe. The kind that made them reckless with your heart. The kind that made them think your patience was permission. The kind that made them think they could show up whenever they wanted, and you'd open the door like nothing happened. But not anymore. You gave them grace. You gave them loyalty. You gave them time they didn't earn and chances they didn't deserve. And what did they do with it? They wasted it. They delayed. They took detours. They explored other options. They ignored you when you were present and missed you only in your absence. They thought they had forever to figure it out. But forever has an expiration date. And that version of you, the one who waited, hoped, begged, stayed loyal to potential, that version is gone. That version died quietly, one unanswered message at a time, one broken promise at a time, one disappointment after another. And what rose from that death? Power, clarity, peace. Not the kind that needs revenge, not the kind that needs closure, but the kind that doesn't need anything from them anymore. They thought you'd always be in their orbit. But what they didn't realize is, even planets break away from gravity when they find their own center. And now they feel the shift. Now they feel the weight of time. Now they feel the absence they never thought they'd have to face. But you're not in that place anymore. You're not waiting for the text. You're not hoping they change. You're not checking their stories. You're not reading between the lines. You're not wondering what if, because you've already decided what's next. Let's break a lie you've been living under. If I wait long enough, they'll choose me. No, my friend, if they had to make you wait, they already didn't choose you. Love doesn't operate on deadlines. Respect doesn't require reminders. The right people know. They know your worth when it's in front of them. They protect it. They prioritize it. They don't test your patience. They honor your presence. But the ones who made you wait, they were never choosing you. They were choosing comfort, control, options, and you became the emotional bench they sat on while figuring out their next move. But here's what they never expected. You stood up, you walked away, you stopped being available, and now they're left wondering how they miscalculated so badly. You want to know what the worst part is for them now. It's not that they lost you, it's that they lost the only version of you that would have stayed. The version that overlooked the red flags, the version that waited through confusion, the version that gave them the benefit of the doubt over and over again. And now, even if they wanted to come back, they'd have to face the new version of you, one they don't even recognize. And that's what scares them most. You're no longer reachable, not because you blocked them, but because you outgrew them. You stopped being emotionally available to people who were only occasionally interested. You stopped leaving the door unlocked. You stopped building bridges for people who burned them repeatedly. And now their hands are full of regrets and no access. But let's talk about you now. You're no longer in that waiting room. You're no longer sitting in emotional limbo, refreshing your phone, shrinking your needs, tolerating silence. You've stepped out. You've closed the chapter. You've started walking toward your peace, your purpose, your power. And let me tell you something, they see it. Oh, they see it. They might not say it out loud, but they feel it. That glow on your face, that calm in your energy, that shift in your attention, that's the cost of taking you for granted. And maybe, just maybe, they'll try to come back. They'll text. They'll test the waters. They'll act like they've changed. But you know better now. You know that real change doesn't beg to be believed. It proves itself. And you? You're not interested in proof. You're interested in peace. So don't you dare go back. Don't you dare answer that "I miss you" with the old heart they used to play with. Don't you dare hand them the keys to a kingdom they once chose to walk out of. Let them wonder. Let them regret. Let them replay every moment they took for granted. But you move. You rise. You become. Because now you're not the one who waits. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. I do not wait for those who left. Say it, own it, show the world and yourself that your love has evolved, your time has value, and your energy is sacred. And if you felt this message, if it lit a fire in you, if it reminded you of your worth, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, press subscribe, and share this with someone who's been stuck in that waiting place too long. Because what's coming next is a version of you they'll never see again. And that's how it should be.